Morning. Welcome to Mornings with Michael for information and educational purposes only. It's your responsibility to do your own due diligence, to find out what's right for you. What we do may not necessarily be right for you. So a plum is a word of the day. A plum, it is self-confidence or assurance, especially when in a demanding situation. So that is our word of the day. We'll finish up with our quote of the day at the end of our show. And we are going to stop the share for a moment. I'm going to go over and look at our heat map. Be right. Here is our heat map. Most things are up today on our heat map. Microsoft, Oracle is up, some of the largest. Synopsys is up 4.25%. CrowdStrike is up. Most of the financial sector is up again. It's been one of the leading sectors. Industrials. So we'll take a look at those more in detail. I'm going to stop the share here for a second, and we're going to go take a look at our indexes on our charts. First, we're going to take a look at XLF, like we said. And XLF has gapped up today. It is in the pivot zone. And let's take a look at the other one. And this is up a little further. This is hit the pivot zone yesterday or the day before. Energy, people are saying energy is going to go on a tear here. We'll just have to wait and see. Aerospace is bouncing from a 2-day pullback. Commercial services is bouncing back as well. Utilities bouncing off of its 10-day moving average. Real estate is a severe double bottom here. We'll see if it can get above its 200-day moving average. Biotech is continuing up slightly. The other biotech, it's about the same. Software, wow, look at that move out of the pivot zone. That's pretty strong, up nearly 2.5%. And I believe a lot of it could be because of Datadog. Datadog gaps up and is near the top of its range, up 14.5%. So that is an amazing move. XLK continues up 1.53%. Infrastructure continue to work on its basing pattern here. You could have bought it right out of, let's see if this will, right out of here. That would have been a better place to buy, an early buy. SMH, NVIDIA kind of broke out anew to the top of its range, up 1.5%. Broadcom is doing well. AMD actually, KLH, ALA. See if this will come up. There we go. KLA had a big move yesterday as it broke out into the pivot zone. So the semiconductors are definitely moving. Airlines doing well. These are the top airlines. Not sure who's making the biggest move in the airlines, but if you can always take a look at that one to go a little deeper. Leisure activities continues moving on up. Industrials, it's definitely in the pivot zone. Healthcare, it's kind of laggard there. Building and materials had a big move yesterday. Road is in construction, but also believe they use part of the materials. XME is pretty flat today after a huge move yesterday. Home builders, pretty flat. And finally, uranium, holding pretty steady. And now we're going to go take a look at cryptocurrencies. I'm not sure where I moved that to. I'm going to go back over here. And here is Bitcoin is pulling back a little bit, but is it still above 109? We'll take a quick look at a few of the Bitcoin movers. This is IREN, Bitcoin manufacturer. This isn't in Bitcoin, but this was a big mover yesterday. American superconductor hit above 40 today and is pulling back a little bit. At a long base here. Had a bunch of institutional managers come in, institutional ants. Usually what happens when that happens, it has a pullback and then it has begun anew. Here's IPO from yesterday in Bitcoin mining. Look at that move, up 102% today. I guess yesterday would have been a good day as it pulled back a little bit. Another one is HUT. It broke out yesterday, and it's continuing that up another 4% today. One that we are holding. MicroStrategy is kind of pretty flat today, actually. Went up higher on Bitcoin's move up earlier, and now when Bitcoin is pulling back, it's pulling back as well. So we're going to set up where the big money is flowing right now, and then we'll move on to the news. So ANSYS, developing engineering simulation software, big gap up today. Not the greatest amount of volume, but price always overshadows volume, up 3.83%. Applied optoelectronics, looks like it's trying to break out here. Wow, look at this next year. Expected 2,525% increase in their earnings. We just looked at BitMine immersion techs. Look at that huge move. Pretty well extended right now. I just continue to watch it. Bloom Energy up 6.38%. Had a big move here, pulled back to its 20-day moving average, and now is moving again. Cadence Design, huge gap up into the pivot zone here. There's Datadog again, up close to 15%. Excellisis, this is a local Alameda company where we broadcast from, and it is up nearly 10% today. GDS Holdings, China operator 10 carrier neutral data centers, up almost 10%. There's Hut 8. IREN, another Bitcoin mining operation. Next Tracker in the solar area jumped into this pivot zone. Here's Oracle. And with that, we're going to move on to the news. The bull bear spread in American Association of Individual Investors, AAII, weekly survey was 11.9 versus negative 5.2 last week. Bulls raised to 45% from 35.1. That's always a danger sign for bullish behavior moving forward. Neutrals fall to 21.9 from 24.7, and bears fall to 33.1 from 40.3. UK government bonds rallied on Thursday after Sir Keir Starmer said Rachel Reeves would be a chancellor for a very long time to come, following market jitters sparked by speculation about her future. President Donald Trump and Ukrainian President Zelensky are expected to discuss the abrupt halt in some key U.S. weapons delivered to Kiev on a call on Friday, Financial Times reported on Thursday. On to Lucid. Lucid reported 3,309 vehicle deliveries in quarter two, a record quarter, and topping the 2,394 delivered in the same period a year earlier, and their penny stock is up about 5.8%. Tesla ended a 6-session losing streak, even as the electric vehicle maker posted its worst quarterly decline for deliveries in its history. And it's just holding at the 200-day moving average. Tesla's new car sales in Germany down 60% in June, year over year to 1,860. Exponential Fitness said the Securities and Exchange Commission concluded its investigation into the company without acting in any way. On to energy, industrial, and materials. Enterprise products and energy transfer, the U.S. Commerce Department moved to withdraw a licensing requirement on ethane exports to China, posed earlier this year. And no real move in enterprise partners. And energy transfers is kind of stuck in following the 10 and 20-day moving averages. See if this one will come up. Nippon Steel, it does. It's up 2.83%. Said it would raise 800 billion yen, $5.6 billion, through two subordinated loans to partially fund its recent $14.9 billion acquisition of U.S. Steel. On to BlackRock, is in talks with Saudi Aramco to divest its stake in the leasing rights of a natural gas pipeline network. And BlackRock is up 0.78% today. Franklin Company Q3 EPS 11-cent loss versus estimate of a 4-cent loss. On to technology, media, and telecom. Datadog will join the S&P 500 index. I guess that's why it really jumped today, replacing Juniper Networks. I guess Hewlett-Packard closed the deal on Juniper Networks, so that is why it is being replaced. Hewlett-Packard is up 0.71% today. Says to watch Hood. Hood is coming out with a coin to represent several companies on the S&P 500 in Europe, I guess. So more people can invest in these companies. Said to watch App. Initially sold off and is bouncing back up 1.73%. Ares, which is now in the pivot zone. And liquid natural gas, which were named as potential S&P 500 inclusions. On to Synopsys. And Cadence shares rise overnight after the U.S. eased export restrictions on China for chip design software. That is why those two rise. TripAdvisor shares climbed after the Wall Street Journal reported activist investor Starboard Value has built over a 9% stake in the company. And look at that move, up 17%. On to Meta Platform, was upgraded to hold from underperform at Needham with no price target, saying channel checks and driving upside to the firm's estimates. And Meta is up slightly, 0.82%. Alibaba said it's seeking to raise around 12 billion Hong Kong dollars, or 1.53 billion US dollars, through exchangeable bonds to boost investments. And that is our news for today. What are we doing currently? These are kind of what we're trading in. This looks like a high-tide flag to me, even though it isn't. You can take a high-tide flag, raise up to the flagpole, and then it's estimated to go up another amount by the size of the flagpole. So we'll see if that happens. GE Verona up 2.3%. NVIDIA had the breakout there. Before we move, Palantir is up to its 20-day moving average. There was a report out yesterday that they were moving up the target to 160. One of the analysts. Rigetti Computing and in the computing space, up slightly today after the big move yesterday. And this was MicroStrategy, I believe we looked at before. Post. No, actually, Toast it is. Toast initially was selling off earlier, bouncing back up 2.4%. And Bros is up 1.88%. It needs to get above the 50-day moving average. And that is our show today. But before we end, we're going to go over to our quote of the day. And our quote of the day is from Warren Buffett, investor, one of the greatest investors of all time. Price is what you pay, value is what you get. So make sure you get a good value for anything that you're investing in. Have a great day. The market closes early today. We will have our weekend update sometime this weekend. But in the meantime, have a great 4th of July. And thanks for tuning in.